Boris Johnson is well known for not liking sacking people. And I wonder how tough this was for him to do today and what lies behind it. What really is the thinking? And I'm joined now by Alex Crawley, former political advisor to Boris Johnson. And Alex, welcome to GB News.
Hi, Nigel. Thanks for having me.
Not at all. So you worked with Boris when he was the mayor of London, and that's going back quite a number of years. You've worked with him in intermittent periods throughout. You've even been with him in Downing Street for a period of time. So you know this guy really, really well. Is it true that he doesn't like sacking people?
I think it's fair to say that he's not a lover of confrontation.
Yeah.
As, let's face it, most people aren't. I think, yes, he doesn't love doing the sackings, or he certainly didn't about a year or so ago. But I think he's probably getting used to it by now. At the end of the day, this is a guy who likes being the man in charge. And Reshuffle Day is about him. It's about his power, how he wields it, who he promotes, and who he gets rid of. So in that sense, he's probably quite comfortable with that.
Yes, I mean, he's got rid of Gavin Williamson from Education, gone completely. Robert Buckland, Justice Secretary, gone completely. Robert Jenrick, Housing Secretary, gone completely. And Amanda Milling, co-chairwoman of the Conservative Party, gone completely. So it's relatively ruthless, isn't it?
It is. This is basically, I think most prime ministers get one big reshuffle, and I think this is Boris's. It's the one where you can make your most sackings without too much trouble. It's the one where you put probably 4 or 5 big beasts on the backbenches for them there to remain for a while. And kind of from here on in, you get into a different phase of the premiership, whereby you've got some serious people on the backbenches. As trouble begins to mount, they suddenly are the ones that you start looking at and thinking, there might be a bit of trouble there for Boris.
Yeah.
Up until now, his bench critics have been vociferous but small in number. I think they've grown by about 4 or 5 tonight.
And I've been struck, Alex, during the lifetime of this Parliament, just how big a role in our national debate is played by Ian Duncan Smith. China, right through to many other issues where Ian Duncan Smith is there saying things. On lockdowns, we've had David Davis, who's been extremely critical. But, I mean, there, for example, are 2 backbenchers with considerable experience of being cabinet ministers. Why does Boris not want to get very experienced people into his team?
I think it's probably fair to say that Boris likes to kind of keep the soul of the Tory party for himself. If you look at the likes of Ian Duncan Smith, David Davis, you could very much make a strong argument to say that they are also, to some extent, the keepers of the soul of the party. And we're in a very odd situation where we have a Conservative government that isn't really doing very Conservative things. Some of these things have been forced on it. Others are there by choice. And really, there's kind of 3 big political vacancies at the moment, policy-wise. There's a vacancy for the party of home ownership. There's a vacancy for the party of low taxes. And there's a vacancy for the party of small business. These are things the Tory party used to be, but it's not so much anymore.
No.
And there's a bit of a battle at the moment for the soul of the party. Is this something that we are still, as a party, willing to fight for and stand up for, or not? At the moment, the direction of the government suggests not. And I think that's going to be a big area of internal debate over the next year, 18 months.
I'm sure it isn't. Alex, I've been saying for some time that Boris Johnson is a great cheerleader. Put him up on a stage in a campaign, wave the pom-poms, and he's great at that, and he cheers people up, and he makes people smile. And we've been through too many years of grey, dull politicians, and Boris ticks all those boxes. But is he actually a leader? Because it seems to me, I could maybe have got this wrong completely. I mean, you know him better than me. It seems it's a government that follows what focus group says, rather than a government that strikes out boldly and leads and invites the public to follow them.
It's an interesting, you use that phrase, follows focus groups. Actually, I think if the government actually listened to focus groups, they would have a very different set of policies, because what people in this country want, for example, to own their own home, to have lower taxes, etc. It is not what the government is doing. I mean, you talk about leadership. Look, there are different styles of leadership. There is the Boris style, which is, as you say, cheerleading, setting a general tone. And then there's the managerial. Generally in this country, when we've had managerial leaders, Theresa May, Gordon Brown, for example, it hasn't actually worked out that well. When we've had cheerleaders, sometimes it can work, but as you see in times of great crisis, it does cause problems. And look, Boris has many strengths, but one of his obvious weaknesses, which no one would dispute, is that he's not a manager.
Yeah. No, well, I think that's pretty fair. Alex, thank you very much indeed for joining us. That was Alex Crawley, former advisor to Boris Johnson over many, many years.
Welcome to the GB News YouTube channel. You can watch us live 24 hours a day, catch up on your favourite shows, and join in the conversation in the comments below.
Don't forget to subscribe and you'll never miss any of our exclusive content.